my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. My lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold.
Good morning, everybody. Today is August 24th, and I want to welcome you to episode 26 of Coffee and Cloud Native. My name is Adrian Goins. In fact, today... Oh, it didn't work. Ah, there it is. Today I have a lower third that pops up with a fake title that totally didn't work. Never mind. My name is Adrian Goins. Every night, I and my army of bots scour the internet for news and content related to Kubernetes and Cloud Native, and every day you'll find me here to share the bits that I find interesting. You'll see that we are back in the office studio today, and yeah, it's a lot more cozy. How was your weekend? Let me know in the chat. Hey, we see we got Peter here. Mose, good morning, Mose. Ariel, good morning. Michael, awesome. Everybody's GM, good morning. It's great to see all of you here, bright and early on a Monday morning if you're in the United States. Bright and afternoon. Great to see you here. Let me know how your weekend was. Let me know if you did anything exciting. You can't see it anymore in my arms. I spent most of Saturday splitting wood and ripping out blackberry bushes. And I came in on Saturday afternoon and my arms were just shredded. My wife was rubbing me down with rubbing alcohol and I was crying like a child. And she told me that I should wear long sleeves today, but it doesn't look so bad. You should have seen it on Saturday. It was gnarly. All right, let's get started, shall we? I have a whole new configuration based on what I decided from the big studio last week of the split browser thing and whatnot. So hopefully it works. I spent a lot of yesterday getting all the buttons programmed and stuff, making sure that I can't accidentally start the show again because I was doing that too. So yeah, anyway, this Kubernetes Handbook from Freecodecamp. This is a complete guide to getting up and running with really basic Kubernetes skills. Explains concepts. Where's our table of contents? There we go. It explains concepts and has hands-on exercises for deploying pods, services, deployments, and then it ends with getting set up with ingresses. I teach an Intro to Kubernetes and Rancher course. It used to be every Thursday, but since people have been busy and it's summer and what we're doing it every other Thursday right now. And from my experience, this is about the right amount of information that somebody who's new to Kubernetes can process. If you give them too much, their brain just pops. But covering, like, what's a pod, how to get started with a pod, how not to use pods and instead replica sets, how not to use replica sets and just use deployments, and then moving on into services and ingresses. And I find that that's enough that they can go out and get busy with Kubernetes without having, to worry about too much stuff. And then they can bolt on the extra stuff that they need to learn after that. I was really excited to see this come out from Freecodecamp. And if you don't know about Freecodecamp, they are an educational site, portal. They have educational content for all sorts of stuff. Responsive web design, JavaScript, front-end libraries. I saw machine learning with Python and I clicked into that and I was like, wow. And their idea is that they will give you for free the instruction to go out and get your first job working in the industry. And I already have a job working in the industry. So for people like me, this is just a great place to go and get instruction in things that we know nothing about. So in this machine learning with Python certification, this is 300 hours. Apparently their whole program is over 2,000 hours. That's 8 hours a day for a year. A 2,000 hour year, that's what we calculate as the work year, including 2 weeks of vacation. That's a crazy amount of content to get for free. Oh, Ariel says there's a lot of tropical storm around here. Yeah, I saw that there's some gnarliness coming through the Gulf of Mexico. Like you've got back-to-back hurricanes or something. That just doesn't look pleasant at all. We had a windstorm last night. Apparently it woke my wife up. I slept through it. Because I'm like, brr. But yeah, we don't get hurricanes. We get little cyclone-y things down here, but all of you who are up there in the north, stay safe. Next, Space Cloud. No, I'm not on the right page. Let's go to that page. Space Cloud. They are a serverless platform that's built on top of Kubernetes. It abstracts the Kubernetes bits away and gives a REST. Actually, let me go to their main screen here because this is more interesting than hearing me talk while showing a GitHub repo. So they abstract away the Kubernetes bits, and they give you REST and GraphQL API, service mesh, and then the reliability of Kubernetes for app management. They have a graphic around here. There we go. So their idea is that you can deploy content. This is the layer that they provide. Oh, you don't see my mouse. This is the layer that they provide here in the middle, in the dark, and you can build it on top of any other platform. They describe themselves as Firebase plus Heroku. They give database APIs that can be consumed by an app, and then serverless functionality for app deployment and management. And they've got really nice documentation. I really like places with really nice documentation. So you get into something like this, and you're like, where do I get started? Well, here's, without deploying any infrastructure anywhere, if you can just put Minikube or something on your local machine, K3S, whatever, then, well, here's how you can get started. So walk through setting up their platform inside of Docker, deploying a database, deploying a service, configuring GraphQL, and then a demonstration of chaining requests, which I thought was really cool. So here you can do multiple calls in a single request. So instead of most serverless stuff, you get something and then you go and get something else because you take the output from this and use it as the input for that. They have that built into their platform where you can just chain requests, database queries, functions, whatever. So you send off a request, it goes through all the stuff, and then you actually get back the data that's useful. Now, the only thing I wish that we could do with this is that we could install it into any Kubernetes cluster, but it's a whole platform. I don't really like that if I have a Kubernetes cluster, I have to go and deploy another set of nodes so that I can use something like this. I mean, Rio from Rancher is designed to go into any Kubernetes cluster, and other serverless solutions like OpenFaaS are designed to go into that. But then I thought about it last night, and I realized that not everybody's like me. There are probably lots of companies out there who just have an application that they want to make available to people, and they don't want to have to worry about, or maybe they just don't have the Kubernetes stuff and they don't care. So a solution like this might be very cool for them. They have released the enterprise version. Yay! 0.19.0. So they now can do stuff that's more. People who want to use this with like multiple projects, multiple databases, that seems like something that's good. Managing multiple users also seems good. Audit logs and a maker checker system to change Space Cloud configuration layer. Okay, so they've got a bunch of enterprise stuff, and you can explore that. But they just hit 0.19.0. Congrats, guys. Looking at the chat here, Stack Overflow recommends mounting from the dev directory to control USB devices from a cluster. Have you seen any other way of doing this? No, that's actually what I do. In my environment, where I have like my Z-Wave controller for the Home Assistant stuff, actually that's just running as a standalone machine. What else do I have out there? Well, regardless, USB devices, mounting the actual device into whatever is actually using it is what you want to do. There's no real other way to bridge the device into a pod or a container or whatever. Mo says, I'm trying to learn Go. Can you recommend good material other than Go Playground and Go by example? And Tej says, Go in Action. I don't actually know that one. Let's go look that up really quick. Go in Action. Is a book. Go in Action introduces the Go language. Okay. I like learning from books. I think I've always learned from books. I remember my first job as a system administrator for a software development company in Denver. I would go every lunch to, I don't remember what the restaurant was. It was like a Quiznos or something like that around the corner. And I would sit there with my little book on Java and I would read it, or Perl 5, I guess, had just come out at the time. So I would sit down and I would read and I would learn and I would just go through the exercises in my head. I didn't have a laptop or anything at the time. And I've learned a lot of stuff from books. But now here where I live, I can't really get books. So I prefer online resources. If it was me, I also don't know Go, I would actually just go to Udemy and look at what they have available right now. And in fact, I saw this morning that Udemy is doing one of their, oh my gosh, only for the next 2 days you can get courses that are normally $200 for only $10. They do this every few weeks, but it's great to come through and see when they have these sales, and if there's anything that you would like to learn, to just to snatch up some courses. So they have tons of stuff on Go. So here, the top hit, Learning Go, 4.5 stars out of 15,000 or 14,638 people, 46.5 total hours. That looks like a great class. I look for classes that have lots of hours of education, lots of people that have gone through it, and 4.5 or higher in the stars. So the next one, 14,000 people, 4.6, but only 9 hours. So I don't think that's going to be as comprehensive. 19 hours, 23 hours. Yeah, so I would go with this top one here. And you can get it today for $10. Can't beat it. Next up. This one's funny. So VMware Fusion and Workstation get support for Kubernetes via kind. I don't know if that's news. Basically, the new versions of VMware Fusion and Workstation will deploy Kubernetes for you into virtual machines that you've launched through the platform, because apparently it's too hard to run like kind create cluster. They've created a container engine interface called VCTL that I don't know if it's like a wrapper around Docker or something. Now, granted, I haven't seen this, so maybe it's like totally mind-blowing. Maybe it's just gonna be like the next greatest, most amazing thing, but I suspect no, because kind already exists, Docker already exists, Containerd exists, other container engines exist, virtual machines exist. Workstation and Fusion are great solutions for running virtual machines on your machine, but do we really need VMware to like write a wrapper around Docker and then have people learn how to use that instead of learning the actual thing? Is it so hard to deploy Kind or K3D or Minikube or any of the other solutions? I think actually Kind is from VMware. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the chat. Do you think that solutions like this, wrapping stuff around, taking something that's already easy and making it easier, are actually good for people? Or do you think that they just get people to use VMware stuff? Let me know in the chat. It's news though, so there you go. If you use VMware Workstation or Fusion, well, cool. What I would like to see is what I'd like to see if every cluster launched by VCTL included an automatic deployment of this. This is a container that will simulate resource exhaustion by it'll simulate resource exhaustion by either consuming all of the RAM, consuming all of the disk space, or issuing a fork bomb. I don't know what value this actually has, because in addition to coming along and crushing whatever your node is, after that node dies, it will continue to crush the next node as things get redeployed. So it's a great way to destroy your cluster. Yay, surprise, fork bomb. Have a nice day. But this takes us into chaos engineering, where Craig Morton has started a series of articles on different chaos engineering solutions, which I don't know if they have to be for Kubernetes, but a lot of them are for Kubernetes. Chaos engineering is one of those disciplines that's picking up steam. A lot of people are talking about it, a lot of people are using it, a lot of people want to know, how the heck do I get started, and how do I choose a platform? He already wrote an article on KubeMonkey, and this one is on Chaos Mesh, but this is just part one on Chaos Mesh. His articles are great. He gives an introduction, an explanation, an overview of the features, and then pictures, yay, and then a full walkthrough of how to set up an environment and how to deploy a target application and then how to deploy the chaos engineering solution, and then how to use it, and so on. It's like a full walkthrough of how to do whatever it is with the particular tool that he's reviewing. In this one, which is just part 1, he demonstrates using the pod kill experiment. It's just one of 3 strategies in the pod chaos tree. So Chaos Mesh has six trees. There's pod chaos, network chaos, IO chaos, time chaos, stress chaos, and kernel chaos. It's a lot of chaos. And so this demonstrates using pod kill, which is one of the 3 ways that you can kill a pod in the pod chaos tree. They're a really enjoyable read. They're really well put together. They're light, and it's the kind of thing where if on lunch, instead of going to the restaurant and eating your lunch and reading a book, you could order your lunch in and set up an environment on your local machine with a bunch of Nginx pods and then just go shoot them. Destroy them. I guess you're not shooting them, but... Or just give yourself a fork bomb. Yay! Chris says he's a big fan... Okay, well, hold on. Before I say that. Mo says that kind is from the Kubernetes SIG group, but I think that the people that are maintainers or that originally built it or whatever, I think they're connected to VMware somehow. I don't know why I think that. I'm not going to go look it up because maybe I'm wrong, but maybe. That's fine. I just have it stuck in my head somewhere that I saw that the people who build kind also work at VMware. Which is fine. You have to work somewhere. I mean, lots of people who build stuff for Kubernetes work at Google, and that doesn't mean that they're bad. I don't think VMware is evil. I just think that VMware right now is trying to gobble up market share by putting themselves everywhere, and a lot of the places that they're putting themselves are places that they just don't need to be. It's like releasing an app and saying, this app is capable of printing text in the color blue. Yay! And then Chris says that he's a big proponent, as far as learning stuff, a big proponent of learning how to do something the hard way first and then using the easy button. This is probably not about Go. This is about the VCTL Docker question. I agree with that. I think that it is very important that when you're using a solution that gives you a shortcut, that you understand what the shortcut is doing, because shortcuts don't always work, and when they don't work, it's important that you have the skill to go back and figure out the pieces. When people ask me how to do troubleshooting of things in Kubernetes, I often remind them that all we're doing is replicating reality. So we used to build servers with cables and switches and routers and so on and so forth. And now we're just doing all of that in software. So if your app isn't doing something, there's no magic involved. Just get on the various places in the app and figure out what's happening. I'm working with a guy right now who's having a weird Istio problem where he's sure that his client is sending out a connection to an external Mongo database in plain text, but it's showing up on the Mongo database as an SSL connection, and he's trying to figure out what's happening. So I've explained to him, start from the beginning, make sure to run TCP dump on your actual Mongo client. Is it sending out a non-SSL connection? Yes. Okay, then go to the host, go to this, and go to every single place along the way and find where it changes. And then okay, it's right here. It's in this slice. And then that's where you start digging in further. If Tej just figured out how to post links. If you don't know what those steps are, then that's also fine. Just go ask people, get help. But when troubleshooting, remember that none of this is magic. It's just not magic. Tej, gopherlabs.kubedaily.com. Let's go look at that real quick. You're not allowed to post links in my chat. I'm sorry. But it's not anything against you guys. It's because every time one of these videos becomes a real video, it instantly gets slammed with 24-hour girls online, horny housewives, and so I just eliminated all the links. Oh, this looks great. Golang for beginners, gRPC. Wow, lots of cool stuff here. Coding interview questions. Okay, thanks, Tej. This looks fantastic. Golang developer roadmap. Woo-wee. Wow. What a great journey. Hey, I love it. At the bottom, it ends with keep learning. Let me make that a little bigger for you guys. Keep learning, 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 learning. Yeah, I know URL is not allowed. I know. Next up, All right, so we had Craig's guides, but then there's another guide that I found yesterday that's a high-level overview of various chaos engineering tools. So this is a little bit different. So if you can't wait for Craig's articles, or if you don't really want to just dive in and get hands-on deploying all of these things, but you still want to be able to make a decision about what you might want to spend time with, this article gives an overview of Chaos Toolkit, Pumbaa, Litmus, and Chaos Mesh, which is the same one from the other article. But it's more high level. You won't be able to follow along in your own environment. It explains what chaos engineering is and why it matters, and then it goes through each of the 4 items and ranks them according to installation and management, experiment definition and variety, security, and observability. Observability. Morning coffee. Can't talk. It was really great to see that Litmus had the highest scores of the 4 that they reviewed, although each of them has their own strengths. So then he digs into each of them, or they, I'm not sure who wrote this, dig into each of them to explore each of those criteria and why they received the rank and score that they did. Now they have a webinar coming up on, I'm going to scroll this really fast until I find it. Shows up as like an ad. There we go. They have a webinar coming up on September 10th where it is a crash course in chaos engineering. So if you want some direct instruction and the ability to do Q&A, you may check out their webinar. I don't know who these people are. I don't know if their webinar is going to be any good, but here they are, and chaos engineering for the win. Chris Short curates a list of Kubernetes newsletters and podcasts. I actually stumbled onto his DevOps newsletter list, and it's an excellent source of links and articles and is a total rabbit hole. It's a lot more comprehensive than this. But then I found this, which was linked from the other, and it's a little bit sparse. I noticed that he has a thing up there that says pull requests wanted. One of the ones on here that's really great is his own DevOps-ish newsletter, which once again, you can't see my mouse. There we go, I'll highlight that. And I'll blow this up. So his own DevOps-ish newsletter is fantastic, and he's got a bunch of other stuff in here. I'd like to see Coffee and Cloud Native up here, but I subscribe to the Wikipedia rule that says that I can't go and like create a Wikipedia article about myself, so I won't submit my own show to his list. But if any of you who are watching think that it's a fit for this and would like to go and submit a pull request, I will be in your debt. So you decide. You can submit pull requests through the repo, which you can get to from the About page. Oh man, okay. Oh gosh. Did you see this? So I need a News of the Weird segment on the show. Do you know News of the Weird? I actually have them up here. News of the Weird is, it used to actually be written content, and it's just really, really bizarre news articles. Well, now it's online. Just Google for News of the Weird, and it's another rabbit hole of really? But this is all like legit news. It's not Snopesy, oniony stuff. It's bizarre. So here you go. Back in 2001, the Chinese National University of Defense Technology launched the first version of Kylin OS, which was based on FreeBSD. To their surprise, it wasn't widely adopted. Who doesn't want to use our OS? Then they ran into some problems in 2006 when a Chinese user showed that it was basically just a reskinned version of FreeBSD 5.3. So in 2009, they changed it and they started to build it on Linux. It's literally the national operating system of China. What's curious is it's mostly developed by 2 companies, and at the end of 2019, it says the Chinese regime made decisions that told the 2 companies to unite and build together, but also they said that within a maximum period of 3 years, all operating systems of foreign origin will be replaced in China by national equivalents, which means inside of China, you're not going to be able to run FreeBSD or Linux or Windows or anything else. You'll be able to run Kylin OS or whatever else. Yeah, I think that's a little scary. So it'll be ideal for running Kubernetes, but why would they let you run stock Kubernetes if you can't run stock Linux? Gluster, OpenStack Ceph, Docker, and LXC. this is weird. Now, it's easy to beat on China and be like, well, obviously this is going to have all of the surveillance baked into it. But do you really think that Windows operating systems sold inside of China don't also have surveillance baked into them? Like when I say we, I mean the West. Like, we're not holier than thou. We also do espionage, and we also do lots of shady stuff. I mean, we even spy on our allies. It's just retarded. So I get what China's trying to do, but man, like, I kind of think that they think that other people outside of China will run this. But the best part of this, here you go. I'm hoping that this is just a translation error. Share Kylin OS, the national operating system based on Linux with which China wants to breastfeed in the face of Trump's commercial pressure. There you go. I don't even know what that means. But I'm not sharing Kylin OS. Well, I guess I am sharing it because I'm saying, hey, look, it's Kylin OS. Yeah, I'm not going to run this. Okay, so running through... Oh, man, it's already the top of the hour again. I'm trying to be more chatty today, and what do I get for that? I get to rush through the last of the things. This is really cool. So in addition to like a News of the Weird segment, I think I also need like a News of the Wow segment. You know, I can have like wow, weird, and why? Maybe whatever. Wow, weird, why, and whatever. VMware can be in the whatever category. So Kaniko builds Docker images in user space without Docker. Wow. Like, that's really cool. It's a container image that you run, and it replicates all of the functionality of Docker without ever needing a Docker daemon. It'll do layer caching by actually pushing intermittent or interim layers into an upstream registry. It works with Docker, Google Cloud Build, gvisor, Kubernetes. It's pretty cool. I mean, if you have to build container images in an environment where you have limited access, maybe this would work with the thing that we were reviewing last week about rootless or entire Kubernetes clusters in like underneath your home directory. So if you have a use case for that, and you also need like a CI/CD system that can build stuff in user space, then something like this would be really cool. It's a little bit of a heavier lift to get it up and running. But if you don't have the permissions to do it in any other way, then, you know, who cares? It's the only lift. So I found that, and I thought that was super cool. Last week, we had a bunch of scanners on for infrastructure as code. We had Terrascan and Sneak and an open source one. And today it's Checkov. Get it? Checkov? Check? Anyway. So this one's open source. It is a Python module. Let me scroll down here. Is there a pretty picture? It's a Python module. It has over 400 checks. It covers security and compliance for AWS, Azure, and GCP. It'll scan Terraform, CloudFormation, Kubernetes, serverless frameworks, and ARM template files. Because, okay, sure, cool. It will detect EC2 credentials in EC2 user data, Lambda environment variables, and Terraform providers. It'll output a CLI, JSON, XML, JUnit XML, and then includes links to remediation guides, which I think is really important. It's not just, hey, this is broke. It's, hey, this is broke. Here's where you can go learn how to fix it. It comes from Bridge Crew, who have a complete platform for security scanning and policy enforcement, and they also have a free tier for getting started. Their free tier looks very similar to the free tier from Terrascan, except Terrascan gives you more resources, but fewer things that you can scan. So here you get fewer resources, but a larger bit of functionality. Brendan says he uses Kaniko in his Jenkins pipeline and that it's really straightforward to use, and he runs it on DO. Okay, good. That's an endorsement for Kaniko. Thank you, Brendan. And now we're on to the tool of the day. Tool of the day. I get more submissions for K9s as tool of the day than anything else. and I've been like putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And over the weekend, there was a bunch of noise around it, including Darren Shepard from Rancher, who said, this is actually really cool. Anything that Darren says is cool, I will go look at, because he knows way more than I do. It's super cool. I'm sure that all of you who are in the chat and all of you who are watching the show are probably way ahead of me and have already been running this. I installed it on my Mac, and I am totally blown away by it. It does... Whoops. It does so much for text-based management of a Kubernetes cluster. It's just beautiful. It has intelligent help. It's got shortcuts. You can switch your namespaces. Let's actually switch to my namespace here. There we go. You can look at deployments. You can look at pods. You can look at every single resource. You can edit things. You can scale things. You can view and edit the YAML. You can copy stuff to the local clipboard. So you can block out sections of the YAML and bring them. There we go. I'm running this all the way out to my cluster in the United States. So you can copy sections of the YAML, bring them down. It is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful piece of software. It's a text-based UI for managing Kubernetes. It combines a lot of the stuff that I've covered in other episodes like Stern and Kubetail. You can get logs off of everything. I can't believe I waited so long to look at it. It's just absolutely amazing. And with that, we are at the end of the show. End of the show. So that's it. I will, of course, post all the links in the video description and the Git repo as soon as the show ends. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll get a notification when that happens. If you have something that you'd like me to consider for the show, please hit me up and let me know. My contact details are in the video description, or you can tweet with the CNCN hashtag and I'll pick it up. If I mentioned a tool that you use, well, then just tell me in the comments. And of course, if you liked what you saw today, where is it? There it is. Click the like button. Subscribe to the show. Come hang out with us in the morning. It's light. It's fun. I'll be here every single weekday as long as there's something to talk about. And there are always, always, always things to talk about. So thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next show. Have a great day. Keep learning.